The boardroom at Holloway Enterprises gleamed under the morning sunlight. Every inch of it radiated power, from the polished mahogany table to the skyline view stretching across downtown Manhattan. At the head of the table stood Adrian Voss, a 38-year-old billionaire CEO whose very name commanded attention in the business world. Ruthless, calculating, and admired by millions, Adrian had built an empire from sheer ambition. To his employees, he was untouchable. To his competitors, he was a storm they could never outrun. But that morning, even the storm was bored. It was a quarterly performance meeting. Numbers, projections, strategies, all things Adrian had heard 1,000 times. His team tried to impress him, but nothing broke through his icy disinterest. Then, as he glanced across the room, his sharp blue eyes landed on something unusual. An elderly janitor quietly mopping the corner floor, moving slowly and respectfully to not interrupt the meeting. Adrian's lips curled with faint amusement. "You know what?" he muttered to his CFO with a smirk. "Let's make things interesting." Before anyone could stop him, Adrian turned to face the janitor. "Hey, old man," he said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "You've been cleaning this floor for years, right? Tell me, what should I invest in next?" The room erupted with soft laughter. The executives glanced at one another, unsure whether to smirk or stay silent. The janitor froze for a second, his wrinkled hands tightening around the mop handle. Then he slowly turned around. He was perhaps in his late 60s, thin but upright, with calm, intelligent eyes that seemed to see right through the glitter of the skyscraper. His name tag read Samuel Reed. For a moment he said nothing. Then, in a voice that was quiet yet steady, he replied, "Sir, maybe you should invest in people before profits. They give the real returns." The laughter stopped instantly. Adrian blinked, caught off guard. The words hung in the air like a challenge, one that sliced through the arrogance in the room. "Invest in people?" Adrian repeated, his smirk fading into something unreadable. "That's not exactly how billion-dollar companies work, Mr. Reed." Samuel gave a small nod. "Maybe that's why billion-dollar companies forget what truly matters," he said softly, then turned back to his mop. "If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humility, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Spark. Let's spread stories that remind us how compassion can still change the world." After that encounter, something unexpected happened to Adrian. He couldn't stop thinking about the janitor's words. For a man used to brushing off criticism and ridicule, those words replayed in his mind like an echo. Invest in people before profits. He didn't understand why it bothered him so much, perhaps because deep down he knew he hadn't invested in anyone, not in years. That afternoon, Adrian asked his secretary to find the janitor's file. "Samuel Reed," he said. "How long has he been working here?" "About 23 years, she replied, surprised. "He's never missed a day, never caused trouble, always polite. He used to work in finance before—" She hesitated. "Before some family troubles, sir." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "Finance? You're telling me my janitor used to be in finance?" "Yes, sir. I don't know the full story, but I heard he lost everything when his wife got sick. Medical bills, debts, foreclosure. He took this job to stay afloat." Something inside Adrian shifted. He had heard thousands of financial reports, but none had ever hit him like that sentence. He sat back in silence, realizing how easily life could strip a man of everything except his dignity. Over the next few days, Adrian began noticing Samuel around the building, quietly cleaning after hours, greeting every employee with a smile, never complaining. He'd stop and exchange a few polite words sometimes, about small things, weather, sports, coffee, but each time Samuel carried a quiet strength that disarmed the billionaire. One evening, Adrian stayed late at the office. The city lights shimmered outside his window like fallen stars. He was reviewing a potential acquisition, a struggling local factory that employed nearly 300 workers. The numbers said cut it. His investors said sell it. But something in him hesitated. As if on cue, Samuel walked by with his mop and bucket. "Working late again, sir?" the old man asked kindly. "Trying to decide the fate of a factory," Adrian replied, half joking. "The numbers say I should close it." Samuel paused. "And what do the people say?" Adrian frowned. People don't usually get a say in these things. Samuel gave him a look. Not defiant, not pitying, just human. Then maybe that's the problem. Adrian leaned back, staring out the window. You think keeping a dying business open is a good decision? I think giving hope a chance is always a good investment, Samuel said simply, and continued down the hall. That night, Adrian couldn't work anymore. He opened his late father's old letter, one he had never bothered to read until now. In it, his father had written, "If you forget that people matter more than profit, you'll end up rich, but alone. And that's the poorest kind of rich there is." The next morning, Adrian made a decision that shocked everyone. He called an emergency meeting and announced they would save the factory, not shut it down. He promised to personally fund its reorganization, modernize the machines, and retrain the workers. His board was furious. Investors threatened to pull out. The stock even dipped for a week. But Adrian didn't flinch. Something had awakened in him, something stronger than greed. A few days later, he found Samuel in the lobby. "Mr. Reed," he said, approaching him, "I took your advice." Samuel looked confused. "Advice? Investing in people before profits," Adrian said with a faint smile. "I saved a factory today. 300 families get to keep their homes." Samuel smiled, the kind of smile that carried gratitude without words. "Then I guess you just made your best investment yet." From that day forward, Adrian began inviting Samuel to his office occasionally, not as a janitor, but as a silent advisor. The executives thought it was absurd, but Adrian didn't care when he spoke to Samuel. He didn't feel like a CEO. He felt human.